Hi everyone, it's John here again from the Warlock's Tower, bringing you another battle report. So again, it's 40k, and it's a bit of an unusual one probably. It's an orc off. It's my Nob Bikerz, which I've discussed in my tactics video, versus a orc boys list in trucks, but with the rather nifty addition of a Stomper. Now the Stomper's built to survive. It's got mechs inside, it's got burner boys inside. It's pretty solid. Big mech with custom force field for that 5-up invul against shooting. So yeah, it's a tough nut to crack, and essentially comes down to one of two options. One is ignore it and hope it doesn't destroy your army too quickly, or the second is get in there and kill it as fast as you can. And any half measures aren't going to work. So let's see how this works out. It's a Maelstrom game, 6 objectives marked with red dice and counters. So yeah, it's easier to see the red dice on the report. It's some pretty cool terrain down at a club. Tristan provided the terrain, and it's pretty cool. We've got a Warlord Titan scattered across the field, a great big weird tower thing. Playing a gentleman called Wade, who's been an Orc General for a long time and understands the army pretty well. As will become apparent, one or two little bits of rules knowledge cost me big, particularly around the Stomper. So, can I come back from these big mistakes? So, as you can see in deployment, I've got my Squid Gobber as a lobber. I've got a unit of 4 in front of him, so bike knobs. So there's quite a few power claws in there. There's also my Warlord, a war boss with the thinking cap. He's got 2 Warlord traits. One is +1 to seize the initiative, which could come in handy because I've deployed second. So I've deployed basically to try and swing around. Behind that big blob is a unit of grots holding an objective, and there's a couple. So there's 2 objectives reasonably close to each other. So we'll see what happens with those. Behind that, there's a unit of Gretchen. There's another lobber, another unit of Gretchen to move up and hold that objective if needs be, and my other unit of bike knobs with, again, both have got a pain boy, and this time I've got my lucky stick Warlord represented by the guy on a grey boar. So basically all the boars without riders don't have power claws. All the boars with riders do have power claws. This photo gives a telling mistake. I didn't deploy my Aegis defense line, and basically he actually had a movement phase prior to me remembering this, which was a really dumb mistake. Would have saved a lot of Gretchen, and that could have made a big difference to the amount of pressure I had put upon me. So yeah, big mistake. I did the hopefully sensible thing, and I didn't deploy it after. That would have been almost gamey, so I just put it to one side and said, look, my mistake. It's only a fun game. It wasn't the World Cup of Warhammer. As we can see, his deployment, he's got his Stomper out to the left. Now, it's not got the biggest range in the world, so I thought I could ignore it. But as you see, I put my unit of knobs kind of near it. So my thought is there's 5 power claws in that unit. They should go in and do a mess, make a mess of that Stomper. Okay, it's got armor 13, but I'm strength 10 on the charge, so I was reasonably confident that 1 unit of knobs would be sufficient to take out the Stomper. So it was that was my plan, or certainly put enough hull points on it to make him cautious. So we've got 4 units of truck boys. Each one's got a power claw knob in it, and they've all got heavy armor. Behind that, the silver and grey unit in the terrain is 10 units of looters, and then there's a unit of Gretchen just to hold that objective. In his first movement phase, he pushed the Stomper forward to hold the objective and threaten other objectives, and then he's obviously, I expected him to shoot into my knobs, the closest knobs. Now they've got about If I move up 12, I've got about an 8-inch charge from the two first ones. It's probably about slightly more than that, probably about a 10-inch charge because I'm going to probably banking on losing the first two guys. Now, what I was banking on is that I was pretty sure the death cannon was strength 8 or 9, so wounding on 2s. Actually, it is strength 10, so killing on 2s, no fear, no pain, no 2 wounds counts for nothing. So I was suddenly a bit nervous about this. So straight into what became quite a key game-changing first shooting phase. So I was banking on him making 8 hits. He's got a huge template. I'm really quite compact. As I say, I wasn't too concerned. I also thought I had a good chance with the. I had a 5-up chance to seize the initiative, so because of a warlord trait. So I thought that might help, but unfortunately didn't. Anyway, I was banking on him getting 8 hits with 2s to wound. That brought me down to 6 2/3 wounds. After Jinx, because it was night fighting, I had the night fighting and night vision special rule from the Thinking Cap, the strategic warlord trait. So 3 up Jink, 4 up normal, +1 for the night fighting. Got me 2.2 wounds after Jink. Now my banking was I'd then get my feel no pain down to 1.5 wounds. Unfortunately, this wasn't to be, and I then was obviously. It was only going to my Jink. I wasn't going to get my feel no pain, so it was going to be 2 dead boar. Unfortunately, I rolled really badly, went straight through half the unit, so it was not to be. Now, what I was banking on was if I made the charge, I get 25 power claw attacks. Obviously, the attacks from the riders don't count for anything. They would then do 16.6 hits, hitting on 3s because they've got the Thinking Cap giving the extra weapon skill, which would equal 11 hull points. So although it was a big gamble positioning the way they did, I thought it was a worthwhile gamble. That's okay. The Knob Bikers with Power Claws and the War Boss and the Pain Boy are a decent chunk of points, but they're nowhere near the chunk of points that is a Stomper, because basically, okay, there's burner boys with mechs and a big mech inside the Stomper, which I wouldn't get, but those guys basically become pretty worthless once they're out of the Stomper. So yeah, I was thinking, okay, I'm gambling a decent chunk of points. It's not my Warlord, as I say, my Warlord's got the Thinking Cap, but it wasn't to be. I basically was left with 2 knobs and a Pain Boy who obviously doesn't have a Power Claw. So yeah, it was pretty painful. They're then a pretty fragile unit. They went off and held Objective 6. I had 2 Objective 6s on my turn 1. I also had take out a unit in close combat. So I pushed forward, took out the truck in close combat, and I had Big Game Hunter. So we were doing the Maelstrom mission where you have 6 objective cards on the first turn, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So I knew I wanted to go in big and win as many cards as possible. So I went in hard. I got 5 cards on my first turn. He did kill a lobber with shooting, or killed some Gretchen. Sorry, that's what happened. The big template, as well as taking out most of my ball boys, or my boss. My Knob Bikers, he also took out enough Gretchen that they failed their leadership test and ran off the board. So he got first blood for that. I pushed forward with my truck also to hold that objective. So the theory here is the Knob Bikers take out the boys in the truck, move on to the second truck. I'm pretty confident I'll have then held the right side of the table, and the Grots can push forward and basically secure that objective and just sit on it, really. So very cheap unit, doing a good job. So at this point I'm a little way ahead on points. Wade he double wonned his terrain test getting out of the truck, so all his boys just piled around the truck rather than pushing forward to attack my knobs. I was a little bit upset about this actually. I was quite keen for them to charge out and have a fight. I thought my unit was pretty redundant, and the best option I had was for them to be stuck in combat. Power claws and bikes, so toughness 5 versus toughness 4. We're killing on 2s rather than killing on getting armor saves makes a huge difference, and I feel no pain as well. So okay, he's champion with the power claw would make some damage, but I was pretty confident about this unit, but wasn't to be, unfortunately. However, on the other flank, he did charge his boys into my unit of not power claw Bikerz. He did a few wounds, but they got decimated, absolutely destroyed. Very, very short order. I don't think I had to run them down. I just killed every single one, and with my war boss still to go. He tried to charge through the terrain into the Bikerz. I think he needed a double 6, and it wasn't to be. But he's not scared of the stun and shoot anyway, so it was all good. But then killed them very quickly with some shooting, apart from the pain boy, who didn't run and hid around the corner. Lobber scattered off, unfortunately, only clipped 2 guys, and one of those made his armor save. Then on came my knob bikers from reserve, so I didn't want to get too close to the Stomper for obvious reasons, but I wanted to take out that truck. As I mentioned in my tactics videos, my main problem with truck boys is that once the truck's been shot out from underneath them, they can really only hold one objective for the game, and if you want to engage them, you can. They can't really move off and engage you, so they become a bit of a liability, just with the strength 3 if they get charged. So yeah, so they move on and take out the truck from underneath them. My knobs go into what is the one-sided fight of all of Orkdom, Gretchen's versus not powerful Bikerz. Yeah, didn't take any wounds, killed all of them, held the objective. Unfortunately, at this point, I've turned in all my cards from my first game, first turn, and when I've been quite successful, and I basically got domination and supremacy. He was holding 3 objectives pretty securely, so I suddenly was like, that's not going to happen. So I got stuck with 2 cards that I was never going to achieve. Also one objective which was underneath his Stomper, and the other which was underneath his Lootaz on the far side of the table. So I suddenly went from having 5 cards which were easy to achieve, or relatively easy to achieve, to 4 cards out of 4 which were almost impossible to achieve, which meant quite a big swing. Now here comes another key moment in battle. Wade, I think, drew a few good cards. I was sat on some duff ones still, couldn't get rid of them quickly enough. As it happens, because of killing the boys, I probably could have got supremacy, but yeah, it wasn't to be because I discarded it. Oh well, such is life. But this kind of sums up what is going to happen in the shooting phase. So the Stompers looking ominously at my knob Bikerz. They've consolidated out of the combat with the Gretchen to give themselves a good chance. And they're going to jink anyway, so I wasn't too concerned about having the creator for cover save. So I'm quite keen to take out the Lootaz. I'm sat on hold objective 5, so I think I can fight the Lootaz and win even with less numbers. But the shooting phase is pretty devastating. So the template goes down, kills 3, including the pain boy. The Daki guns come in. The Giga Blaster, I think it's called. So it's a Kustom Stompa. So it has 66 shots every turn. I think Wade was amazingly consistent at rolling 23. At one point, he managed to get 11 wounds, I think it's this turn, out of the 23. And basically, that unit is wiped out to a man. So, some pretty powerful shooting. The knob bikers go into the boar boys. It's a objective which slows down their charge, but we get so close that it doesn't matter. He manages to kill one with a standard shoot on the way in and takes another wound off in combat, but other than that it's pretty short work for the Bikers. I think there's 2 or 3 boys left. They roll a 1, and obviously with a slightly higher initiative of the Bikers, they're bound to get the shots in there. Now at this point I'm about 3 or 4 maelstrom objectives ahead. I've got my Gretchen, my truck with Gretchen and my lobber on the far right, and I've got my 3 boys on the left. Now my thought is, even with his boys, his truck boys, his Stompa and his Looters, there's not a great... Oh, and his flyer comes on at this point, he's got a Dakka jet. He's not got a huge amount left. If I go to ground and hold one Gretchen, if I would put the Bikers behind this terrain, as long as he gets some reasonably duff cards, and I pull out the odd objective that I'm sat on with the Gretchen, which I'm potentially sat on 3 objectives, I was thinking he's going to have to turn his Stomp to shoot one way or the other. If the boys are basically in the middle of nowhere, so I was reasonably confident that I could survive, and I've still got the Pain Boy running around as well, and hold on to the game so that I've got something left at the end. I'm 3 or 4 cards ahead. There's 2 turns, and basically there's 2 objective cards, 1 objective card. So there's not a lot of objectives to be had. That's already counting in Warlords and First Blood. So yeah, so I'm ahead, and all I've got to do is survive. So he moves his truck up to contest this objective. He turns his Stomp around to face the Gretchen and the lobber, but moves backwards to face to be closer to the Knob Bikers on the left. So yeah, at this point I didn't realise this was a Stomper rule, but they've got 1 gun poking out the back, so obviously with the split fire rule for super heavy, this is good play. So he can shoot his 1 big shooter, super shooter, whatever, doesn't really matter, he's not even trying to put wounds on, into the Knob Bikers. Yeah, it's got the minus to the charge range, but it's not a huge charge. So yeah, this is good play by Wade. So he decimates the Gretchen, he decimates the lobber, the Dakka jet takes out the truck, and basically at this point he charges into the Knob Bikers, smashes them, and it's pretty clear that there's not a lot left. Oh, the death guns of the Looters take out the Pain Boy, and it's very, very obvious. All he has to do is move forward, and he's got 2 turns of shooting into my last 10 Gretchen from the death gun and the Super Gatler equivalent, and the Gretchen are going to go down pretty quickly. 10 Gretchen in a run herd are not going to last forever against that kind of shooting. So I put out my hand, shake his hand. Oh, he also had a good turn. He played well, and he took 3 or 4 objectives. So I think he went 1 up on objectives. So even if I survive, I lose. So yeah, it was an interesting game. It was really fun. Orcs obviously are one of the, if not the, crazy fun list in 40k universe. And I think the difference between the 2 armies was pretty cool to have the same book but different approaches. As I say, made some big mistakes, namely the strength 10, not strength 9. The 1 bad dice roll, yeah, it cost me a bit, but maybe I should have spread my guys out more. I think even with a 7-inch template, even if I'd gone into a long line, I think potentially he still gets most of the unit. And I needed to be able to charge. I wanted to be able to get in there and do some damage to that. What's it called? To the Stomper. So yeah, I was a bit disappointed with myself in that. Maybe I should have put both ball units to threaten the Stomper and go all in to kill it. But yeah, I'd never played a Stomper before. The 7-inch template is just monstrous. Makes a huge mess very quickly. I was pleased how I played as regards Maelstrom. Obviously, my much more mobile list does suit Maelstrom. The not Bikers in Maelstrom were great. It was just unfortunate that I pulled out, I think, 3, maybe 4 cards on my second turn, which were very hard, if not impossible, to achieve. As I say, the Lootaz were stood on one objective on the far side, the Stomper was stood on the other side, and I had nothing within range which could challenge the Stomper. Even if I'd gone in with all of my attacks and they'd all wounded, I'm still nowhere near killing him on that turn. So, yeah, it really wasn't worthwhile. I was pleased again with the Gretchen, even though they got smashed to bits on several occasions by the Death Cannon. The Gretchen and the trucks were really good, zooming forward and taking objectives. For 35 points for truck, I mean, give it a reinforced ram for 5 points. And so you've got 80 points, and it's pretty mobile. Although the trucks fast attack, the troops inside obviously get objectives secured, so that was good. I'm aware I got wiped out, but I was still pleased with how the army performed. Stompers are frightening, and I think I probably was too scared of it. Yeah, he's got mechs that can put wounds back on, but in the grand scheme of things, if I'd gone in with 2 units, or threatened him with 2 units with power claws, he was going to go down pretty quickly, and then it would be a fairly one-sided fight. If I can get in with enough power claws to do enough damage, I'm then mobile enough. It did reinforce my dislike of truck boys, even against not bikers who, survivability wise, are nowhere near the likes of Terminators. They just didn't scratch when they went in. Even on the charge, they'd do very little damage and then got beaten up pretty badly in return. I can only imagine that being more so either running towards a shooting enemy, getting this truck shot out from underneath. Daka guns from the bikes dealt with the trucks pretty quickly. I did roll pretty well on a couple of occasions, to be fair, but they still chipped away. The 3 hull points is good. I thought they had 2 hull points, but the 3 hull points is good, and yeah, kept them alive a little while. But yeah, they're not my favourite choice. But Wade played it well. The nifty trick with the shooting out of the back of the Stomper and then moonwalking into combat is pretty nice. And yeah, I rolled badly. I didn't do any hull points to it, but even with 2 power claw knobs, even if I'd rolled really, really well, the amount of damage I was going to do at that point in the game was never going to matter because I didn't have anything else that could put wounds on it. So yeah, in the end, good win to Wade, but a really fun game. Orks versus Orks was really fun. Anyway, have a look at our other battle reports. Hopefully have more coming up soon. Like, comment, let me know what you think, either on Twitter, on the webpage, or obviously comment on the YouTube battle reports themselves. And hopefully see you soon.